Welcome everyone, this is a new episode of Score Sheet. Today I have two things to start with. Far from sports, I'd like to extend my deepest condolences to the French people over what happened just a few days ago and those 129 persons whom humanity lost. So, our deepest condolences to everyone who lost a beloved one due to terrorism, to this virus which is really infecting people all over the world, and we hope that we are going all to unite together to get rid of it soon. Far from politics and back to Score Sheet. Today I promised that it's going to be a very special episode. I'm not going to be anchoring that much. I'm going to return back to be a student to one of my dearest teachers. When I was reporting for one of his programs, he used to introduce me as my colleague, Nermeen Abdurrahman. And when I was just watching, colleague, this is too much for me. How the hell I'm gonna say, please, sir? I'm not a colleague, I'm a student, and I'm always gonna be learning from you, whether behind the camera or in front of the camera. So at last he is here and live here in the studio, and we are going to tackle every and each sports segment we have, or a banner which was published on our daily newspapers or national or international websites. And I'm going to learn much from my dear teacher, Captain Ahmed Naser, but right after the short break. This is just a very short part of the story. And I know that we are going to need episodes and episodes with Captain Ahmed Naser if we want to have such, as I said, not that little part, but just 100%? No, 1%? We are going to start, and let's continue what we have started. Captain Ahmed, I cannot tell you how much I'm really happy to have you here for the very first time as my guest, or for me to be with you in Score Sheet.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for my being here. It's a good memories for my being here in the studios as well. I mean, it was...
I think we do have the same memories.
Yes, not really. I mean, there's a good of a change here. I mean, Mohammed has done a good job, Mohammed Rabia as well, and the rest of the people, Ahmed Abdul Alim and the others. But thank you very much for the introduction. I'm really taken by this and I'm touched by it. I really appreciate that. But where do you want to start from?
We usually start with our press digest. And I'm going to seize the opportunity, since I do have a sports analyst and a sports expert, so you can just comment and analyze every and each, as I said, segment we have, or each headline. So if you permit me, we are going to start with our press digest. So our very first headlines are coming from Al Ahram Online, where we read, below par, Egypt stunned 1-0 World Cup qualifying defeat in Chad. Egypt faced the possibility of being eliminated from the World Cup qualifiers in a preliminary round after a woeful show saw them slump a stunning 1-0 defeat by Chad in N'Djamena on Saturday. A diving header by Chad's skipper in the second half handed Chad a very first win over Egypt in 5 meetings and was a sweet revenge for the 5-1 defeat they suffered at the hands of the Pharaohs at the same venue, but this was back in September. Sir, regarding this, and I don't want to speak that much about football and about our national team in a specific cause. Cooper himself said the performance was very bad. But I think that this is a very little thing to describe how the performance was. Why, in your opinion, first? As a first impression, I mean.
Well, in my opinion, maybe they were not geared enough. They were not ready enough. But they should have been prepared and ready for such a start. It has to be a good start. Otherwise, you know, you will feel really depressed, you'll feel down, like we have it every time. But I think they have a better chance in Egypt on Tuesday.
On Tuesday.
And I think they will do much way better than what they have done in there. I think they will learn about what happened. And I think the coach, even he was, they described that he was shouting and everything after the game and everything, but that was not the issue. The issue is how to study what was the problem. Was it the problem of the teamwork or the individuals, or there was nobody, they were afraid, maybe the ground was not as good, maybe
I have two things to mention here. First, the absence of Mohamed Salah due to injury, in addition to Mohamed Abdel-Shafi, and the injection of new faces like Amr Warda, for example. I'm not underestimating his abilities as he's a pro and he's playing in Greece, stuff like that. But whenever it comes to harmony and whenever it comes to the lack of a leader or a maestro with the absence of Mohamed Salah, this was an excuse, I should say. Number two, underestimating the opponents, because they had in mind that this is Chad, where we had such a win or a victory over them 5-1 in September, so it's not going to be that much different.
Well, you're absolutely right. In that segment, this is like psychological preparation. I think psychological preparation was not good enough by that time, but I am sure that they're going to learn by the next match, and I'm sure that the next match will be much way different. Even that they were energized and pushed, and everybody with the expectation of the media that we're going to go and just have a promenade and win 5-6-0 or whatever it is, which is, as you said, underestimating the opponent, which is not the right thing to do. But let's wait for them and see. We would like to encourage them. We don't like to get them more depressed than they are.
No.
But we would like to encourage them.
Facts, yeah, being that objective.
I hope that they learn the lesson, and I'm sure that Hannah Bourida, as the one supervising the national team, is not going to let it go like this. But he is quiet in these areas, and he doesn't really make a big sound. But I think he's going to do something well, and I wish them all the best in Tuesday, because we need such a victory.
And they do not have excuses anymore, since fans are going to be there.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
And we are going to speak about this in detail. Right. But before we leave that, the goalkeeper of Chad, I'm sorry that I don't remember their names, and that one who is a pro in the African Dutini, and the number 11, they were magnificent. So would you please bear those numbers in mind? Taking you to our Egyptian Premier League and to the Black Jaguar. I think he is back, or a little bit he's trying. Shikabala Abdurrabbu Ushain has 5-star Ismaili win in Egyptian Premier League. Al-Ismaili former international Deo Hosni Abdurrabbu and Mahmoud Abdelaziz Shikabala produced strong performances on Thursday when the Dervishes thrashed Al-Ittihad of Alexandria 5-0 in a league game. Well, it was such, I should say, a game, and it seemed that it's going to be a good start for the Samba. The Samba are back?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, I'm not judging. I'm a bit different in analysis. When you say that,
and that's what I really like about you, sir.
Thank you very much. Well, when you say that Mohamed Salah is absent and the other stars are absent, and now Shikabala's back, and so on and so forth, I don't think the team will build all their efforts on one or two. I think this is a football, a team play event. It's not only just the star. Yes, of course, star can make a difference, but at the end of the day, he will make a difference, not to turn the things upside down. So it has to be a certain standard for the team to be able to have a good standard all the way through, but not to tell me when there is an absence of a star that the level of the team is going to be absolute down, so they will be beaten or something like that.
No. Number one, we knew that whenever there is no maestro on the ground, I mean, even I'm going here to say Abu Trika as an example. When Abu Trika was not there, they would say that, oh, the maestro is not there, so the harmony is going to be affected. This is a reason. But when I was mentioning Shikabala in specific, or Al Ismaili, because if you remember, Al Ismaili was the generator. I mean, whenever you want to have the Brazilian way of playing in Egypt, you would look for Al Ismaili match. Mohamed Barakat, Ahmed Fathi, Hosni Abdurabbu, Hummus, you name it, you are going to find that all those people are from Al Ismaili. But for a long time, Al Ismaili is that much far from its performance. With Ahmed Hussein Mido as a coach and with the players he has, do you think that, for example, I'm not going to judge into conclusions, but to reach the Golden Square, for example, in the Egyptian Premier League,
well,
or it's too soon to judge?
Well, it's not too soon because Ahmed Hussein has a great experience as a player, as a coach. So I think he can make it. But he needs some time. We don't jump to conclusions, as you said, because if you jump to conclusion, you will never reach anywhere. So you have to wait and be patient a little bit. They have to give him his chance. The only mistake that we have with all the football coaches that we get rid of them if they lose one match or the other. But they have to make a short-term plan and a long-term plan. The short-term plan has got to be targeted. How the coach would like to do with his team, even with his new team or his old team or his mixed team.
As usual, whatever. As if you were reading my thoughts.
Yeah.
Because the coming headline is tackling this issue in specific regarding El Maalem or Hassan Shahata and what happened with him in Al Muqawilun. Ex-Egypt boss Shahata resigns as contractors coach or Al Muqawilun Al Arab coach. Former Egypt manager Hassan Shahata has resigned as Arab contractors boss after failing to bag single win in 5 games since the start of this season of the Egyptian Premier League. It's a pity. Shahata, who led Egypt to 3 successive African Cup of Nations titles in a 7-year stint, was handed 3 defeats this season, the last of which was a 2-1 loss to Tala'a El Geish, and as we knew later that Tariq El Ashri is now officially the one responsible for the Wolves of the Mountain, and Al Muqawilun Al Arab are nicknamed. And before that, he apologized for Al Ittihad of Alexandria, or the Greens. And Al Ittihad, I think now they are looking for another coach after they fired this. He was Portuguese.
Yeah.
The Portuguese one. You were talking about coaches and how we are tackling the coaches issue. Can we implement those rules on what's going on these days?
Absolutely, absolutely. Every coach, you have to tackle for him a certain number of issues. If he doesn't have any of them, so he doesn't have it. But Hassan Shahata has it all. But don't forget that Hassan is not working, he's not playing, he's not dealing with every single issue since he got. Hassan has a very special way of dealing with the players. He has to have a certain atmosphere around him to be able to deliver what he can promise or what he promised. At the end of the day, I think Hassan did not find all the circumstances that he was looking for. For instance, don't try to compare between being as a coach for Arab contractors and a coach for the national team. It's a big hell of difference. The national team coach has everything he dreams of. What he wants to do, he will have. If he wants to have a silent in the field, he will have a silent in the field. It is opposite in the Arab contractors. Even that if he has all the facilities or all the equipment or all the circumstances to help him to be able to do whatever. But I think he was not lucky enough to be able to do that. And some of the coaches are like that. And we are all human are like that. I'm not defending Captain Hassan Shahata, but he is one of the top coaches in the country, and he will still remain even he has a bad luck. But we have to respect that, and we have to look for the right thing that you never know what's going to happen with the next coach. So, but it depends on the all the circumstances they have in the Arab contractors. And Arab contractors are not the same. They are changed as well. I mean, you're talking about players, you're talking about administration, you're talking about facilities, you're talking about matches, you're talking about training camps, you're talking everything. I mean, so it's a lot of issues you have to consider before you even judge on the coach. But I think Captain Hassan Shahada has a bad luck. So, but we wish him all the best, and he will remain always in our minds and heart that he is the معلم, the master.
But whenever it comes to coaches, I don't know why I feel that there are some coaches who shine with the special teams, and who were not with the same performance or the same luck as you've kindly mentioned with others. For example, Tariq Al-Ashri. You know, Tariq Al-Ashri of Haras Al-Hudud is not Tariq Al-Ashri of any other place.
Oh yes.
Talat Youssef of Ittihad al-Shorta is not Talat Youssef of any other place.
Yes.
I can mention names, and I don't know why. Maybe this is the harmony, this is, as you've mentioned, luck, this is the atmosphere around them. I don't know.
Let me tell you something. Tariq Al-Ashri is originally from the army.
Yeah.
So Tariq Al-Ashri has a very good background of a discipline with Haras Al-Hudud, because they respect the discipline. So in this case, he was a great deliverer to the goals that he was aiming to, and he was very successful with the team, and he could be able to build such a relationship with these people to be able to prove himself in different categories. For Talat, for the police, he was also raised with them, and he started to prove himself with this team, and he started to grow up, developed, and at the end of the day he was achieving such a wonderful achievements and goals with them. So I think that's why there is, as you kindly said, it is a harmony, it is synchronization with the teams and everything, and this is needed. It's very much needed.
Yeah. In addition to that, with courses, with being all the time acquainted with the new tactics and with the new ways of coaching, because football now is an industry.
Yes, of course.
A way or another, or I mean, we should admit that first and then to continue with other issues. How do you see our coaches regarding this? I mean, are we taking into consideration that studying and going into courses and knowing the most modern ways or tactics or techniques in coaching, are we on that way, or we are still stepping forward, the very first step in that journey?
Well, I cannot judge that much on that because I don't know what their programs in there, but I think there is a lot of coaches would like to jump into the right new tackles. They would like to go into the new ideas. They would like to go into the new modern football. Not all of them, some of them, but I think this is the role of the Egyptian Football Federation, that he has also to take care not only for the league, but to take care of the coaches, take care of the judges, referees, and all the people, administration and everything. And don't forget there was something very special that they were talking about. I mean, the International Federation, not only the Egyptian Federation, they were talking about the professionalism of the referees. The referees are not professionals. You're talking about only the coaches are professionals. Players are semi-professionals, and some of them are professionals. And don't forget that we're still between these two things in Egypt, between the amateur and the professional, and you still cannot reach it. Are you professional or not professional? Are you amateur or not amateur? Administration is amateur. The football itself and the coaches and the players are professionals.
If they were not amateurs, we would not have a problem like that one of Ahmed al-Sheikh, for example, or any similar cases with signing for 2 or maybe more clubs. And this was, I called it a shame. Something which I really cannot accept from people whom we think that they knew what they are doing. And they are professionals, and they knew that they can represent Egypt in European leagues and stuff like that.
Well, let me put it in another way, if I might. It is they are not cultured enough. So if you are cultured enough of the sport, you will learn what to do and when to do it. But this is like the doping control. Some of the guys used to take some of the drugs not really to make themselves more active. No, they were taking this medicine ignoring that this might come up in the doping control. So they have to be educated upon that. So since they were not educated enough in this, so you cannot blame them.
And this should be the role of the federation?
Absolutely.
Or the clubs?
Absolutely.
Or the coaches?
Absolutely.
Or all them together?
It is all together.
But tell you something, you would find the player saying, I should only play, and there should be institutions to take care of me. I mean, I should have an agent, I should have a nutritionist, I should have people who are responsible about telling me what to do, and I should only train and play, and that's it.
Excuse me, this is only a certain standard of players. But when you start, you have to learn about everything. Like when I used to be a horseman, when I used to ride the horses, I used to take my horse, I used to groom my horse, I used to wash my horse, I used to put the food for my horse and doing everything, even clean the horse's stable and everything. I mean, to learn about that, to learn about the horse, how to deal with him. This is exactly the same way if you're playing football. You have to learn about your body, you have to learn about adoption, you have to learn about living, you have to learn about education.
These are the differences between an amateur and the pro, sir. We are still in this transitional period. Taking you to the football fans, some good news. At last, must register before entering stadiums, and these were the statements by the Egyptian Football Association. Football fans will have to go through a new registration system for their anticipated return to the stands. And the Egyptian Football Association Chief Executive Tharwat Swalem revealed that the association approved a decision to allow football fans to return to stadiums starting in February 2016, the beginning of the second round of the Egyptian Premier League. Better late than never?
Well, it is a good step forward. But I hope they have the good precautions for the security. It is very important. And I wish them all the best, because we all need the fans are there, but we have to be very cautious with that. We have to take care of what we are doing. We have to put some people in between our audience to understand and to calm them down, and to not to make them as hyper as they are. I mean, and not to let anybody from outside to come to try to rule what they would like to do.
Taking you to Mohamed Salah, we wish him a very speedy recovery, but the player who was behind this suspension or this injury, Lazio Lulic, apologizes for injuring Egypt and Roma winger Salah. Lazio's Lulic has offered apologies to Mohamed Salah for crunching tackle that ruled Roma's Egyptian winger out of action for up to 6 weeks with ankle ligament damage. We wish you a speedy recovery, man. I think Salah is the most successful story we have, at least in these years, when it comes to professionals outside Egypt, if you agree with that.
Absolutely. No, I agree. It is absolutely right. But the incident could happen anywhere.
Sure.
And the player is always has to expect that this
Ahmed
something will
Hijazi in
happen,
Fiorentina had 2 ACLs.
Yeah.
2 ACLs.
Yeah.
We wish that this is not going to be repeated with any of our players, whether inside or outside Egypt, but this is football. Taking you to Africa and to Gabon, which become first team to reach the African World Cup qualifiers group stage, and Ethiopia lose at home, Algeria draw in World Cup qualifiers. No, we do not have weak or strong teams in Africa. They became all strong. And it seems that Africa is a day after the other coming, in a way which is really frightening. When it comes to the African Cup of Nations, then we are talking about one of the most important and the strongest football competitions ever, if you agree with that.
Well, I definitely agree, because now in my new post as the president of the African Association of Sports Confederations, and the football is one of these confederations. I'm very proud of that, because Africa is growing, developed very, very fast. And now you can see a real competition. And also you can see a lot of good players from Africa around the globe. It is the number is increasing. The price of the players are totally increased everywhere. And this is make me very happy, because Africa is getting everywhere. And if you have a good standard of the players all over, or the national federations all over the continent, you will have much more stronger players, and you will have much more stronger teams around the globe, and they can always compete in the World Cup finals in a good standard.
Then, since you have mentioned this post, and you have mentioned how much I should be that proud of hosting you to tell me more about the elections, how did it go, the strong competition you had, and how you became the president of the African Association Sports Confederations.
Yes, correct.
Such a big name and a big title.
Well.
So,
yeah, that's why I'm wearing the suit today, just to carry it around. Yeah.
You are Captain Ahmed Naser, and
yeah,
that's
thank you. Thank you very much.
Right after the short break, I'm going to be back with the details of the post, of how did it go, of how we have been through this competition through Captain Ahmed. So right after the short break, I'm going to be back. Don't go anywhere. This is Score Sheet. Welcome back. As I promised that we are going to know more about this competition and to be elected as the AASC president.
Yes, correct.
Again?
Yes.
Sir, whenever it comes to sports in Africa, it's a real competition. And as we have just said, Africa is going and moving forward in many of the sports in general. By the way, I'm not here talking only about football. Let me speak first about this post and the job description. What are you doing there?
Well, as a matter of fact, I was lucky enough among a very good and very strong sports leaders in the country to be able to win that new position as president of the African Association of Sports Confederations. And I am the successor of General Ahmed Fouli, who was Egyptian also, and he was the president of the same association. Before General Fouli, there was President Larfawi, Mustafa Larfawi from Algeria, and he remained there for some long time, and he's one of our honorary presidents now for the same association. The association is mostly consists of the Olympic and non-Olympic confederations, African confederations, and it is right now it's 54 confederations. Among them, there was 39 attending the General Assembly in Egypt, which was for the elections. We were two competitors.
To elect the new president?
Yes, we were, to elect the new president. We were two competitors, General Fouli, the former president, and myself.
Wow,
we were
two
both
Egyptians.
Yeah, that's right.
Great.
Yeah, and at least Egypt won. Whatever, if me or him, so Egypt won. Very proud and very happy because we have in Egypt 15 presidents of the African confederations, and we have 8 representatives, whether they are vice presidents or secretary generals or members of the confederations. We were gathered together in here, and we were always trying to prove that Egypt is the big hug for all the Africans. So that's what we're trying to do. The headquarters of this association is in Cameroon, and Cameroon is giving great facilities, and I would like in this occasion to thank the Republic of Cameroon for giving all the facilities and giving all these wonderful facilities for the headquarters.
But I'd like to know more about the responsibilities of the association.
I am coming to you. So the other thing is that I am planning to have inshallah another quarter here in Egypt, another headquarter, but we are not going to move the headquarters. Since we are 54 countries, we need in every zone of the 5 geographical zones of Africa, we need in every zone at least one headquarter. So because you know that traveling in Africa is very expensive. The main task of the African Association of Sports Confederation is to take care of the sport, number one. Number two, to take care of all the live sport and also competition sports with the African confederations. It's a teamwork. It's not only that the association is doing or planning such events, but there is a lot of events going with the African Confederation themselves, and there is a big competition is going to gather all these African confederations, which is the All African Games, whether for juniors or for seniors. For the sport in Africa, we have triangle. The main triangle is the African Union, which is composed of the African sports and youth ministers, and the second one
governments.
Yes. Okay. And the second corner is the ANUCA, African National Olympic Committees Association, and the third one is the AASC, which is the African Association of Sports Confederation. The 3 triangle are working together as one body to organize whatever should be organized, whether is sports for life or life living or the competitive competitions. We also, in my goals for the election, which I'm working with now, lucky to be with a very good elective board of directors. The first vice president is Mr. Mapanig Danai, the Ministry of Culture and Information in Senegal, and he is the president of the African Fencing Confederation. The second vice president is Mr. Tahir Misbahi from Algeria. He's the president of the African Confederation of Karate. The third vice president is a woman. Her name is Carol, and she is the secretary general of the UWESA. UWESA is the African Association for the Women. And we have 2 members. One from Libya is engineer Khalid Mohalhal, is the president of the Weightlifting African Confederation. And the other one is from Tunisia. He is the secretary general of rugby, Khalid.
When it comes to this and to this body or to this entity, of course you do have a strategy. And you have a plan to implement, things to be implemented on the ground.
Well, the matter of fact, when I try to run as a president, I put the vision and mission. The vision that we would like to make Africa very high with the sport in cooperation with all organizations that we can cooperate with. The second one is trying to have the best competition ever for all African games, because we had some you know, mistakes, some big mistakes has been happened, thanks to all what they have served and tried to make it happen. And we always...
You mean generally, or the latest, the last one in Congo?
In all, and the last one in Congo has a big mistakes.
Okay.
Even that, thanks to Congo Brazzaville, that they tried to make the best out of it.
Yeah.
But it was something in the organization. That's why after the competition finished, all the three organizations try to study what was the mistakes and how can we learn from it and how can we make it better. And we always choose the organizer at the last minute. So we have no chance to market, we have no chance to make it even available for any qualification.
But this is according to some of the circumstances of the country themselves. Because, for example, of course, I'm not defending that, because this is chaos, and we should be very much organized and systematic to move forward in any field, not only in sports. But if you remember, Liberia and Sierra Leone, when they were affected with Ebola, for example, this was a catastrophe, and even Morocco had a big problem to host a very important football competition because of this. So Africa is not that lucky all the time. But before going into another issue, sir, why I've not heard about this before. I mean, the association do not know how to propagate for itself. I mean, you were speaking about such a mission and heavy responsibility, and you can do a lot for the best interest of the African sport in general. Why it's not well introduced to people?
Well, let me take it from another perspective. I would like to thank everybody has done even a little bit of efforts for OXA or for AASC, OXA in French, AASC, African Association of Sports Confederation, to try to help to have the organization there. Because the organization was not as active, and everyone was a president has done his efforts with his board of directors. So I thank them very much. But now is the time to try to get it out. Now that the time is to try to develop it more. Now the time to try to help develop the African competitions, and through this organization in cooperation with the other organizations. So this is what I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about why we were not, because now we are. So, and now we started, and now we are on the step forward, and now we are here and there and everywhere, and we try to have a really spreading over the sport all over the place. And now we have some people behind us. For instance, when I win the elections, I have a telephone call from the Ministry of Sports and Youth in Egypt, Engineer Khalid Abdelaziz. He told me, congratulations. I am behind you and Egypt behind you. This is very big. This is very big. The same thing is from Engineer Hisham Hatab, the president of the Egyptian Olympic Committee, also say the same, and he said, we are behind you, all the Egyptian committee behind you, and all my colleagues of the presidents of the African associations and so on and so forth, we were together, and we will be together. I mean,
tell you something, whenever you are in a place, you would take it from the dark to the light. And this is exactly what happened with modern pentathlon. I should say this in front of the camera and behind the camera. And this is, I think, the same issue when it comes to triathlon. Because unfortunately, we are running out of time, so we should speak even for 5 minutes about triathlon. And here, I should introduce once again my guest as the Egyptian, the president of the Egyptian, the Arab, and the African Triathlon federations in general.
Well,
Sir.
I'm lucky. Well, thank you very much for that, but I would like to give the credit also for my colleagues. I'm not the only one who's working, but we are a group. I mean, I'm lucky to have such a good group to work with me, cooperation, efforts, and wonderful. I mean, and also the authorities were behind us. I mean, we started the triathlon, as you know, 2009 in August in Egypt, and then Egypt became the help and support to the other areas like Africa, like the Arabs. We're not looking for titles, we're looking to prove that Egypt is positive and our people are positive.
Was it Laguna or Sharm?
This was, I think that was Hurghada.
Okay.
Yeah. And then afterwards we have also, this is when they prepare themselves and they have their marks and numbers and everything. And the good thing about triathlon that we have, as I said, life living sport, which is a sports for all, which is the age groupers. And we have also, the other thing is, this is Hurghada also. This is the African Cup in Hurghada. But we have such a great competition also in Sharm el-Sheikh in Nama Bay. Which was, it was. We started from 2013, 2014, 2015, and next year we will have it in April as well. Inshallah. So inshallah we have such a big efforts, and thanks to the governor of South Sinai, which is a very active one also, General Khalid Fouda. And he was with us from the very first beginning as well. Engineer Khalid Abdelaziz is giving us a really good support and good push, and he would never hesitate to help. As you see that there is a lot of activities of the sport in Sharm el-Sheikh nearly every week now. Yeah. And it's going to be in 2 weeks' time. We have the
and what about
Arab
our
League.
Players?
Sorry?
Players. We should mention some players.
Well, we were lucky enough to have Khalid as qualified to the Youth Olympic Games, and also Rehab. And also they win recently in the grand final in Chicago. They win. Mohammed Saeed won the second place with the silver medal, and the bronze medal was won by Mohammed Khalid. And Rehab Hamdi was won the fourth place, and Fatma Hagras won the third place with the silver medal. So we are lucky enough to have such a great youth and a great training team, and the coaches, and good support of my. They are young. They are between 16 and 18. So this is a good hope. I mean, we cannot
How
start
they were
by this.
chosen for triathlon, sir?
Well, first of all, they have to be a good swimmers or a good bikers or a good runners. But if you are a good biker, you have to have a longer time to be good in triathlon. But if you start with the swimming, you will get the long way shorter. So you can learn. The others are easier, not as easy, but easier. And also runners are very much welcome and chosen as the triathletes. And we also don't have only triathlon. We have triathlon, we have duathlon, which is run, bike, run. We have a world championship also in such a thing. And we have also aquathlon, which is run and swim. And we have also a world championship in this. But the Olympic game is triathlon, which is Tri means three, thlon means a sport. So triathlon means the sport of three, which is swimming, biking, and running.
Do you think that triathlon is going to be more popular? I mean, is it going to be one of the popular games here in Egypt?
Can you answer that? Do you know now about triathlon or pentathlon?
No, no.
Do you know about
I know because I am, as I said, one of your students before. And I still am, and I'm honored to be. But regarding this, sir, when it comes to clubs, and when it comes to the way of scouting, because scouting, I mean, this is a job which unfortunately is not that much taking its position in our federations or in our clubs.
I got your point. Well, we started with 4 or 5 clubs. Now we are 21 clubs, and we have already have launched the Alexandria department, which is the Egyptian Federation department in Alexandria. So we have such a great people led by Dr. Faris Abazid and Mr. Hatem, our Dr. Hatem Fahim, and the rest of the group. I mean, they are doing a fantastic job. I mean, they are preparing such a great job, and they have already some good athletes, and we are going to have a training center for the juniors in there and in Egypt.
This was my question, sir, because it's really hard for me to know that there are youth and there are kids all over Egypt who are very much talented in many of the sports you were talking about, and unfortunately they do not have the same chance as their teammates, I should say, or colleagues in schools, in universities, and wherever, in Cairo and in Alexandria. What about our Egypt? What about the Delta cities?
Very good. I start with getting the federation on feet, then start to get some of the talents, then start to join the international and the Arab and the African leads. Now we are in our fates. Now we have a future plan, whether we stay or somebody else comes and continue. We have a long-term plan, which is going to start from the school, and we have a great support from the Ministry of Sports and Youth, Engineer Khalid, and he welcome any project could be successful, especially with the youth. So we started that, and we're going to spread it all over. We started with the government.
Promise?
Yeah, of course. I always deliver what I promise.
I know, and because of this, when I said promise, and when you said yes, then it's sealed.
Thank you.
As I said in the beginning of this episode, that we need episodes to just have a little part of Captain Ahmed's stories. But we are going to leave you, sir, with a promise to see you again in more and more episodes of Score Sheet.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, and good luck with your show, and thank you very much for having me here. Thanks to you, thanks to Muhammad Rabia, and thanks to all the team is working. I really appreciate being here in the studio, which I spent some good years in there.
I enjoyed my time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, same time on Nile TV, we're going to return back with a new episode of Score Sheet. On behalf of Dr. Muhammad Rabia, Amr Fathallah, our staff of our studio, Studio 35, and myself, Nermeen Abdurrahman, many thanks for watching, and as usual, Assalamu alaikum.